You look at the drainage system, sewerage system, environmental degradation from all angles. Why simply urban planning, rural planning, planning of a space to know where you should build hospitals, you should put schools, you should build roads, where residential facilities should be, where businesses should be. 54 years, we cannot sit down and plan how to live. And we erect buildings everywhere, helter-skelter. So much so that if you want to now construct the roads, they will tell you, well, if you have to pull down all these buildings, it will be so expensive that we cannot expand the roads. What is wrong with us? That we cannot even plan our space to know how to live. This is the challenge of development that Congo seeks to address. You look at the laws, they will tell you 60% of council revenue should go to development. 25% should be added by government so that you can have development. It is in the laws, but never implemented. Is that how we run our society? The law should be a guide. But if you dishonor and disrespect it, how can you develop? So we are gathered here as a people to ask ourselves fundamental questions. How is it that we became independent in 1965 when many people here were not even born? But still our people continue to be born in poverty, live in poverty, grow in poverty, get aged in poverty, and die in poverty. Why? Is this our destiny? Are we going to continue to be among the wretched of the earth? And how can we justify that before humanity? That we are human beings with intelligence, capacity to think. Among the Gambians you find the most intelligent scientists, social and natural, doctors, engineers, professionals of all types, accountants, working all over the world, demonstrating their excellence. But then when you go back home, you wallow in the mud during the rainy season before getting to your mansion. How can we justify that? Individual development and collective underdevelopment. We cannot justify that because all of us will one day get into the grave. No matter how wealthy, no matter how prosperous, and we leave behind a society we are not proud of. And that is the challenge. Is that how we want to live? Is that the country we want to leave behind? And that's why we are here. Because our destiny is in our own hands. Before we can blame leaders for failing us, but now we cannot. On the 1st of December 2016, a new Gambia came into being. And you are refusing to recognize that. A new Gambia is born. That is the truth. And we must not leave this hall until we recognize and accept that. 52 years before 2016, Gambia never changed through the ballot box. It is true that we became sovereign in 1970. We became a republic. And the Constitution said sovereignty resides in each of us. But nobody taught us. We went to school not knowing what our country meant to us, how it was governed. Never knew its constitution. We didn't even know that a constitution exists. You can have your PhD without even knowing a single provision of that constitution. And we claimed that we were educated. And we didn't even know ourselves, did not know our country, did not know our history, did not know our powers. We were taught that the intelligent person should not be interested in politics. That was for somebody who is strong-headed. You should think about your exams and excelling and becoming somebody. Somebody who does not even know who he is, who she is. And you are somebody. You cannot be a somebody until you know yourself. But they did not want us to know ourselves. There was nothing like citizenship education in our school system. But on the 1st of December, we went to the polls spontaneously. We woke up in the morning and were told that the person we thought to be omnipotent, with all the wealth and military might, would no longer have the authority to manage the affairs of that nation. And what was responsible? The votes of the Gambian people. That the vote is a manifestation of your sovereign power, sovereign authority to determine who occupies the highest position in the land. So now, all of us are conscious that our vote counts. And that is why there is constitutional reform, so that every Gambian throughout the world will have the right to vote. And that is why you must begin this new journey of asserting our newly realized power. We must not be distracted by the action of others. Let's focus on the fact that power belongs to us. And starting from 2nd December, we are now Gambians with power. But you want a new Gambia. And you have not seen a new Gambian. And you claim that December 2nd is a disappointment. December 2nd is a revolution. What followed may be the disappointment, but December 2nd was a revolution. What we must now ask ourselves is, as a Gambian citizen with power, are we new Gambians? How can we have a new Gambia without being new Gambians? Are we truly new Gambians? That is the challenge before us. And that's what Gonga strives to address. That the starting point of building a Gambian nation is for each of us to become a new Gambian who recognizes that I have sovereignty deposited in me. You have sovereignty deposited in you. We are equal in sovereignty. Irrespective of our religion, irrespective of our ethno-linguistic origin, irrespective of our gender, we are all equal in sovereignty. That's why one vote for each of us. And you must become the mechanic, I must become the fitter, you must become the lawyer, you must become the doctor, you must become something that benefits me, I must become something that benefits you, so that it becomes a division of labor, where we serve each other to build a nation, loving and respecting each other. That is what is going to create the Gambian people. Then we have one mind. How to ensure that our marine resources, our terrestrial resources, the land, our atmospheric resources, we have the sun, which can give us renewable energy in order to have the electricity and drive our machines. So the resources are there. We must use our brains to come up with the policies that we will implement to enable the resources to come back to us and make our lives better. That's what has been analyzed here. How we are going to harness those resources and plan our society so that we can all live in liberty, dignity, and prosperity. We've emphasized that you need 7 pillars to develop a society. And the Gonga has actually analyzed those pillars. We need the political pillar. And that political pillar is what makes what Pdois is calling for different from what is being called for anywhere we have seen. The first political pillar is that you matter, because sovereignty resides in you. Your development matter, your liberation matter. You should be an embodiment of dignity and self-worth. That nobody should be supreme over you. That you are equal in worth to every human being on the face of the earth. And Pdois is saying, whilst in American system of government and concept of government among their leaders, they still have minorities. Pdois says that the highest level of democracy that the Republic promotes, there is no minority. Everybody is equal in sovereignty. Therefore, in our own country, our own political evolution, we must eradicate the concept of a minority. Each is equal in sovereignty, and all belong to the majority Gambian people. That serving as the base, That is why we said, as we evolve to build the state, equal in sovereignty, we must cooperate. We must merge our sovereignty so that it becomes the collective sovereignty that determines our manner of government. That is why Gonga is saying the cooperative state, meaning that the state we have belongs to all of us. We determine its administration, its management, and determine who governs us. That is what Pdois advocates. And that is why Pdois is different from old Soviet Union or present China. And for that matter, all the democracy where you still see people belonging to this religion as minority, or that color as minority. That does not exist in the concept of the state that Pdois is advocating for. And because we own the country, the state is transformed from being an instrument of coercion into an instrument of protection. So it means that we must have an army, a police force that must be retrained and given the values of being fully prepared to defend the dignity and integrity of our people. And we must be able to have a public service that must defend the dignity and integrity of our people. So we therefore call for a certain form of development that is people-centered. At the level of administration of the state, we're emphasizing that men and women must be equal in cabinet, in National Assembly, in running the affairs of the state. That is what Pdois is calling for, starting with 30% proportional representation in all positions of leadership and moving